Hello there, Capricorns. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly tarot video forecast. This is going to be in depth. We are going to be taking some time with this. I am breaking this down into 3 different time frames this time. It would have been 4 had it come out on time. My apologies. I literally decided on June 30th that I wanted to change formats and switch over from the quickie weeklies into something that's more in-depth and monthlies. And I don't think I was fully comprehending exactly how much energy and effort I was going to end up putting into these monthlies when I did that. So I really don't have regrets, except that these are taking longer to get out than I thought they would. But I really didn't want to wait till August to start this new format. So hopefully, I do have some things coming up this month that are going to take some time. But hopefully by no later than September, I'll start having monthlies out in a timely manner. Hopefully even in August. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if that's a reasonable expectation for myself or not, but we'll find out, won't we? Anyway, the time frame that we're looking at right now for you Capricorns is going to be July 12th to the 18th. This is going to be a different format than I've been using. We're not going to go with dailies. We are going to go with overarching themes for different time periods during the month. I think that that's going to allow us to be a little bit more specific than just looking at the whole month at one time. And that way we get some ideas about different things that are coming up during the month, and sort of, we kind of get an idea about the flow of the month, like where that energy is flowing to, because you know, the things that we go through are all tied together. Whether they're positive or whether they're negative, they're all tied together to teach us something or help us experience something. They're tied together to take us to the next level in one way or another. So it's kind of fun to watch the flow here. I think, I don't know if y'all will agree with me or not, I think the sun went behind the cloud. Let's add a little bit more light to the subject. Okay. All right, so Capricorns, July 12th through 18th. The first thing that we're going to look at is environment. And your environment is energy or effort invested. For a lot of you, this is going to be home for the majority of you. But I have had some people come up and tell me, oh, well, that was school or that was work. So you want to keep your mind a little bit open about which environment we could be talking about here. Now, Capricorns, it does look like you are sharing your environment with someone who is very comfortable with expressing their feelings and talking about how things affect them and impact them. This is somebody who can be very nurturing, somebody who really, they can be somebody that can be very endearing and mentoring type of person, somebody that you may look up to for wisdom just because they've been around the block a few more times. And just like I said, very open with their feelings. Now, even with all those positive attributes, it seems to me like this person is getting on your nerves a little bit. So Capricorns, you may not be ready for as much communication as this person wants to communicate about their feelings, about your feelings. And it looks to me like you are in this environment with them, and it looks to me like this is not the end of the amount of time you're going to have to spend in the same environment. I think you guys are still sharing the same environment even as we get into the end of the week. So it might be temporary, but it sure isn't over yet once we get to the end of the week, Capricorn. And I think you're kind of wishing, maybe, you could be kind of wishing. I think you actually have mixed emotions about it, though. There's a lot of good that actually is coming out of this, but there is a certain amount that is getting on your nerves. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm going to shut up now and let's move on. Next, we're going to look at subconscious leanings for you Capricorns during the 12th through the 18th. Okay, so it looks to me like you are really working on your self-esteem as far as subconscious wise. You're working on self-esteem, self-confidence. It looks to me like you know that this is of paramount importance to you, especially when it comes to finances. And it looks to me like something has happened that what you would consider a foundation has sort of been turned upside down. And so you're sort of taking a break. I think you're taking a break from spending time with a person that you may feel is contributing to that foundation turning upside down, or maybe they're distracting you from getting that foundation turned back the way that it should be. So you're working on your self-confidence during this break. You're working on your self-confidence. You're working on your self-esteem because you want to get your material goods back under control again. Okay? And this is what your subconscious is really chewing on, is, okay, how can I accomplish this? How can I accomplish taking this break? How can I accomplish working on my self-esteem? How can I get this financial or material situation turned back around? All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style as we go through this particular time frame. So what we have coming up as far as learning style, it looks to me like there's just a lot that you really just don't know, that you're trying to find out, and you're sort of running into almost like an information blackout, like you're just running into walls about finding out some different things that you want to. And what you are finding out, I think what you are finding out is good information to have, but I just don't think it's enough of it. I think you're feeling pretty restricted about being able to make decisions right now, especially there's a particular decision that you want to make, and you're just feeling like you just don't have enough information to make that decision, and that's why you're trying to learn this stuff, so that you can make that decision. Now, this is going to be a broad stroke reading because this is for all the Capricorns who watch this video. So, whatever this decision is not something that's going to come up in this particular set of cards. It might be something that comes up later, but I need you guys to know that if you want a specific reading that talks to you about your specific energy, then you do want to get a personal reading. And I do offer those via phone or via Skype, whichever is your choice. So they are available, and I would be honored if you would choose me for a reader. But anyway, let's get back to, I want to look at communication style next. And I think you're being actually very quiet. You're spending a lot of time really listening, trying to pick up little details of any kind of information that you can find with whatever this is that you're looking for information on. So even your communication is very limited. When you do communicate, I think you communicate in a very easy to understand way. And a very bright and cheerful way. But like I said, I don't see you communicating a lot. I see you doing a lot more listening than talking. Okay? I guess listening is communicating, but I see you doing a lot more listening than talking in your communications. All right, Capricorns, the next thing that we're going to look at is work. And for those of you who haven't had a private reading with me yet, work I see as two different things. I see it as that way that we make a living or how we feel productive in the community, whichever one applies to you. And then I also see it as those things that we do to improve our own inner character, for our own well-being, for our own satisfaction. So I call that inner work, and the work that has to do with money or the community, I call that outer work. So we're going to look at outer work first. Okay, so there's an interesting dynamic going on with the work that you're doing. And that is that you're not feeling particularly inspired with the work that you're doing. In fact, maybe what you're doing can be quite tedious and just takes a lot of time, and you're just doing this, and maybe it's very repetitive, but you have a lot of patience for it. It's something that you can just almost do mindlessly, and you can think about other things as you're doing this type of work. And I feel like at work you're surrounded by people that you really enjoy, because we do have a card that talks here about happiness. So even though you're not feeling particularly inspired or fulfilled by the work that you're doing, you are happy at work. And so, like I said, I think the people surrounding you, you can laugh and joke around. I think the day goes by a lot faster because of these people who are around you, who make it more interesting. And I think that you are I think that you're really patient with this work. You just, you just keep hanging in there and just keep working on it. Like I said, I don't think that it's anything that requires a lot of creative juices here. I think it's something that you can do almost mindlessly. The reason you can be patient with it is because even though it is mindless work, it gives you a chance to think about other things and think through other things. And so between being able to have time to think things over that maybe you wouldn't at a different position, and the people around you are making you laugh, I don't see you as not enjoying this. In fact, I do think that you are enjoying your work, even though you don't feel like you're doing anything really super special there. And that, of course, is all in the eye of the beholder. Okay, let's look next at that part of your personality that's growing or expanding right now. Ooh, we didn't look at inner work, did we? Let me pull those back. Let's look at inner work. Can't miss the most interesting part of those cards. Inner work, inner work, inner work. Ooh. Inner work really does have to do with you're realizing that you're not doing anything that makes you feel very inspired, whether you're at work or whether you're at home. And a lot of this could be because of the whole COVID stay-at-home thing that, it's really hard to get out and find things that you can do where you're not going to be, all up in other people's space. So where you're not doing a lot of things that make you inspired, I think you're being patient. You're patiently waiting to be able to do those things that you would love to do again. And I think that inner work is all about finding happiness, finding new ways to be happy, finding new ways to express joy, finding new ways to really exert yourself out in the world and exert that character and just be and enjoy life in this different, shall we say, situation. So that's inner work, finding ways to enjoy life under restriction, shall we say. All right. Next thing I'm looking at talks to me about that part of your personality, which is being grown or expanded right now, Capricorns. And when I say right now, I mean July 12th through the 18th. Definitely you are doing some work. For a lot of you, this is going to be, for most of you actually, this is going to be work where you're working for a living. She works hard for the money. This is you doing work for the earning your living, basically. And for those of you that this is not earning a living, you could be doing some work around the house or you could be doing some volunteer work, but there's definitely work that you're putting out into the world. And I think part of the reason that you're doing whatever this work is because you're waiting on some kind of communication from somebody to come in, and that communication is not coming in. So work is a good way for you to distract yourself. And I think you're distracting yourself because you think you have this idea that if you're not hearing from somebody, then that means that there's something going on that you don't know about, and it's really not pleasant. And so rather than letting your mind go down that rabbit hole, you would rather be doing some kind of intensive work just to keep your mind off of it, just so that you feel good about yourself and you feel productive. So that's the part of your personality that's growing or expanding right now. Next, we're going to look at things that you stand for during the time of July 12th through the 18th. It looks like you do have somebody who is traveling to see you, and this is somebody that you know from the past. I don't think that you have a lot of particularly fond memories of this person that's coming back from the past, but you do try to maintain civility and you do try to maintain a relationship with them in spite of the fact that things didn't go well between you all in the past. And so I feel like this person's coming to see you, and I think that somebody's saying, why are you letting this person visit you? Or why are you still being civil to this person? They treated you so horribly. And, you're having to stand up for your behaviors on that. And this person that's saying, why are you doing this? They're feeling like you're a very secure, very well-grounded person. And they feel like you're really good at bringing the truth out of people. They feel like why you're still being civil with this person is because you can pick up new information about this person by being civil to them. And they feel like there's still this aggressiveness going on. They are really looking at the idea that they're expecting you to pick some sort of fight with this person whenever they come back. Even though you are working on maintaining civility, I don't think they are thinking that you're going to be able to. You do have some passive-aggressive tendencies, or at least they see some things as passive-aggressive tendencies. You do have some information that you're going to be sort of pulling out of this other person and this person from the past. And I think that the person that's on the outside looking in pretty much knows that that information is going to come up. And when it does, whew, it's going to be on. You guys are going to be having a debate, argument, fight, something along those lines. The intensity of it will just depend on the two of you and, you know, how far out of control it gets and how much self-discipline you have. All right. Oh, bloody blada. Life goes on. Next, we're looking at that pivot point in this time frame where things start to change up from how they were before. So with this pivot point, what we have going on is that really you are putting other people in front of you. You're putting their priorities above your priorities. And so I think that there's somebody communicating with you a whole lot that you are, excuse me, you're deciding that you want to help them. And in making that decision, it looks to me like you're almost deciding, I'm going to help them come hell or high water. Whatever this does to me, however it devastates me even, I'm still going to help them. And that's what we have as the pivot point in this week where things start to change. Things start to change is where you start putting somebody else as a priority over yourself. What's going on as you're putting somebody else as a priority over yourself? There's definitely something that there's somebody that you're interacting with who is not very grounded at all. Normally they are, but right now they're not very grounded at all. They're incredibly emotional, and I get the sense that they don't really know how to talk about their emotions. So even though they're feeling all these emotions, they don't really know how to explain them to you or let you know what they're feeling. And this is somebody who is a little bit older. We're not talking about a kid here like this. And we're also seeing that this person is coming into a situation where they've been through a lot. They've been devastated, and they're coming to a situation where things are getting better. Things are getting better. They've been through a really rough time just recently, and things are starting to get better. But because this person is so in their emotions, it looks to me like they're giving up on some things. They're setting down some things that they used to do. So they're setting down some burdens that they used to take responsibility for, and they're just letting them go. They're just letting them go. I hate to say it, but it is coming up. I think for some of you Capricorns, there is somebody in your sphere of influence who has decided that they don't want to be in their bodies anymore. They would rather cross over into spirit. That's what these cards really indicate to me. Now, of course, that's not going to be true for all Capricorns. But that is what's showing up. And this will be a more experienced masculine energy that we're talking about here. Somebody who's feeling really ungrounded and emotional normally is very grounded. All right, so what else is going on at the same time? There's somebody in your home or in your family at the same time that you're prioritizing somebody ahead of yourself, and at the same time that this other person is putting down some responsibilities after they've been through a hard time. There's somebody in your home or family who is throwing a huge, huge fit. I mean, they are erupting like a volcano of emotion. And I see you as taking charge of this situation in a nurturing and encouraging and uplifting type of way. So in other words, when this person has an emotional volcano of a situation come up, when they're throwing a fit or having a meltdown or having a panic attack, however this is actually manifesting for them, I see you as stepping in and taking control of the situation. In other words, you're going to be talking this person down from their panic attack, or calming them down from their fit, or whatever it is. You're bringing them back into finding some calm and some peacefulness. And like I said, I think this is somebody that they're either in your family, in your home, or in your tribe. Okay? And for me, tribe are people that we would consider to be like family, but they're not necessarily blood related. Okay? So this is somebody that is, you know, pretty important to you if they're in your family or your tribe. Now, what do we see going on at the end of the week? All right. We see you putting your business cap on. We see you becoming somebody who is much more logical than you have been. And I really think that with everything that was going on around your turning point, you may be looking at things logically, just as a matter of coping with all the emotional stuff that's happening around you. Just to get through it all, you may have to sort of put everything into logical boxes to help you with coping with that. Okay? I do think that this is really interesting because there's a couple of things going on that have to do with money or material goods right here. One is saying that you are getting some kind of good information or good message about money or about material goods. This is the type of news that we want to hear. This could be a notification that our paycheck's about to drop into our bank accounts. This could be a notification that we won a scratch off or the lottery or whatever, but there's some kind of good information coming in about money towards the end of the week. And at the same time, I think that once we have that good information about money, Capricorn, I think what's happening is you're blowing the budget. Like almost simultaneously to getting this good news about money, you're basically blowing the budget. You're either not doing what it takes to bring the money in, or to continue to bring the money in, or you're spending more than you're receiving. Okay, so you want to have a little heads up about that so that you can, you know, mentally and emotionally prepare that, okay, I'm getting good news about money. Whenever it comes in, I want to handle this in a sane way. I don't want to just go out and spend more than I just got. You want to be very logical. You've had to be very logical for all this other stuff going on. You want to be logical and cautious for this as well. Okay? So that is your first time frame. Let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to take a little break and then I'll come back and we'll look at the next part of July for you. Hello there. Welcome back, Capricorns. We're back. We're looking this time at the time frame from July 19th through July 25th. And this is just 1 week in the month. Excuse me, that we're taking a peek at this time. So let's see what shall come up for y'all. If y'all want to zoom through this part, you just had a card fall. We're going to take that. All you have to do is just scroll through. I just put this part on camera because there are people out there who prefer to witness cards being shuffled and put down. If you're not one of those people that prefers to witness that, you can just zoom ahead. That one came out ahead of time in a different spot. We're going to keep it there where it wanted to be. All right. So, Capricorns. 19th to the 25th, let's take a peek at your environment. What is going on here? Looks like you are going backwards in your environment. So you may be going back to an old environment that you used to have. You may be going back and visiting an old neighborhood. Or you may be moving back to an old neighborhood even, possibly. There's a lot of confusion about your environment too. So it may be that you want to move and you're just trying to figure out where you want to be. Why is there all this confusion? Why are you going backwards instead of forwards? Are you coming back home from vacation? And you don't want to come back home? Kind of looks like wherever you're going, if you're going back to an old neighborhood or back to an old location, you're not so thrilled about it. There's a lot of confusion around this. I'm not sure why there's so much confusion. If this is you coming back from vacation, you may just not want to come back off of vacation. That's easy enough to understand. But I'm not sure why there would be confusion about it. Maybe there's confusion about what date you're actually leaving vacation and heading home. But for those of you going back into an old environment, maybe you're getting ready to go back to work. Maybe you've been working from home. And there's a lot of confusion about, okay, well, how does this work? Do we have the office set up differently with more distance between people? Are we wearing masks all day long? How is this going to work? There could be some confusion around something like that. But definitely we do have something about your environment is changing. You're going back to an environment that you've been in before. You're not so thrilled about it. And there's a lot of confusion around this move back to that old environment. All right. Next, let's look at your subconscious leanings. You're really ready to be independent and on your own and not counting on somebody else or being accountable to somebody else. There's something that you have been collaborating with somebody else on. I'm not sure if this is personal or if this is business, but I do think that this is something that made you feel secure before. But in your subconscious, you're just kind of done. You feel like you could have more security actually being on your own and being independent, doing your own thing independently of somebody else. Whether we're looking at a business situation, a personal situation, not sure. Could even be both. But you're feeling like you're doing your own thing where you would be better off than you are collaborating with the person you've been collaborating for or collaborating with. So that's your subconscious leanings, working on how to maintain things independently. Next thing we're going to look at, Capricorns, is going to be your learning style and your communication style as you go through the time frame from July 19th through the 25th. We do have more information coming up. There are some more things coming to light this week, more than last week, definitely. I do feel like there's still a lot of confusion around things, but you're getting little bits and pieces of information, so you're starting to put a picture together on whatever this is that you're researching or digging for information with. As far as your communication style, it looks to me like you're being pretty specific in your communication, even though what you're learning may not be as specific as you might hope for. Whatever it is that you're communicating to other people, you're being very specific and very detailed. I almost feel like you're giving somebody some kind of instructions and you're making sure that they know exactly what it is that you need them to take care of or to do, and exactly how to do it whenever I look at that communication style, Capricorns. So the next thing we're going to look at talks to me about work. So we're going to look at outer work first and inner work second. If you don't remember the difference, then you can always scroll back to the last section where I talk about that more, but I'm not going to get all the way into that again. So it looks like things are kind of hectic at work. There's a lot actually going on. You've got a lot on your plate. I feel like this is a good thing. It is a good thing, but at the same time, I think that there's enough going on that you're kind of getting distracted from your main focus at work. It's almost like you're going around putting out so many fires or taking care of so many accessory type things at work that you're having a hard time just following through on your primary responsibilities. So you want to be really careful with that. And I think somebody's even going to be talking to you about that at some point during the week. They're going to be reminding you, hey, you know, I know you've been really busy doing da 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 da, but I need you to really focus on this as well. This more mundane, everyday type of stuff. Okay, let's look at inner work. I think you've been feeling a certain sort of apathy lately, and the inner work is to sort of get rid of that apathy, to find something that actually makes you feel like you have energy. And I think you're finding something that makes you feel more energetic again, because you've been feeling kind of, you know, your mood, your emotions has been one that kind of says, I don't really want to get out of bed. There's really no reason to get out of bed. There's not anything big or major going on. And so your inner work has to do with finding those things that light your eyes up, that make you want to get out of bed and go do something. That's the inner work right now. And when I say right now, I mean from July 19th through the 25th. La da da da. Next, let's look at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this time frame. So it looks to me like you're taking some time out to really think some things over. You have a lot of options that are in front of you, and you want to make a decision about what it is that you actually want to focus on. I think for Capricorns, I think a lot of these are financial options, different things that you could do to bring in more money or to safeguard your money. You have a lot of options that are in front of you, and I think you're just taking some time to sit down and figure out, okay, which would be the best for me, or how could I combine a bunch of these to bring in some money and still have good days where I don't feel burnt out, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing, shake things up a little bit. You know, there's whatever is your requirements for income. You know, you're really looking on how can I do this, and how can I do this in the most creative way is what it feels like to me. Like you're really wanting to move forward in a way that's creative. If you have your own company, you may be deciding, okay, which new products do I want to release and exactly when? That type of thing. But so you're definitely taking some time to think things over here. And like I said, I feel like these cards don't really say for sure, but I do feel like this has to do with business and with ways of making money. And there may even be marketing things that you're looking at, like different marketing options about how to get yourself out there. For some of you, if you don't actually own a business, that you're looking at different marketing options for this business, it could be that you are looking at, okay, well, how do I get my resume out? Or how do I let people know that I'm doing this thing on the side? You know, so maybe it's not exactly what you would call marketing, but, you know, getting the word out there that you're available and that you have this service to offer. Okay, so that's where you're growing or expanding right now during the week. Let's look next at things that you stand for. It looks to me, Capricorns, like for a lot of you, there was some kind of situation where you had agreed to go into a serious commitment with somebody or a serious contract with somebody. This could have to do with employment. This could have to do with marriage. This could have to do with some kind of consulting or contracting. But there was a serious contract that was up for discussion, and I think you had agreed to go into this serious contract or agreement, And then you realize, you know what? No, this is not actually what I want. And so I see you July 19th through the 25th, I see you taking action to back out of that. I don't believe the ink has dried on this. I don't believe there's been any ink put down on this yet. So I think it's just that, you know, verbally, you just need to let somebody know, you know what, I know that I said I was really into this and this is what I want to do. Things have changed and I'm not ready to make that commitment. I am so sorry. I think that's what's going to be going on. You're going to be letting people know, you know what, I'm not doing this. And the reason you're not getting into this contract, I think you're getting some kind of message about money or about material goods that is a good one. And I think that once you hear this information, then that gives you the motivation to back out of this contract before it actually becomes legal and binding. And then the next thing that we have coming up talks to me about how other people perceive you. And this is going to be the person that confronted you about coming out of that contract. And they see you as somebody who is not very communicative, that basically you've cut them off as far as communication, or they're cutting you off. But I think they're seeing, to them, they're saying you cut them off, if anybody would ask them. And it looks to them like you have just basically cut them completely out of your life. Or you at least hope to. You've definitely cut them out as much as you possibly can. That's what they would say about you if anybody would ask them. Okay? Now, next thing that we're going to look at is going to be that pivotal point in this week, which is the point where things start to change direction a little bit. And what we have coming up is that there is a lot of change that's happening, and I believe that you're the one that's actually in charge of this change, Capricorns. And what is it that humans always have about change? Fear, stress. I think you are really stressing out because there is a lot of change that's happening. Even though I think you're the one who is kicking off this change, or kicking off this chain reaction of change, I do think that there's a lot of stress involved with this too. You want to make that transition from how things used to be to a nice, healthier place. And there's a lot of stress with getting this to work out the way that's best for everybody involved. And a lot of the reason that you're kicking off this change is you've let go of some old paradigms or some old mindsets that were holding you back. And so as you've let go of these, then this allows you to make those changes. But you're stressed out because you're not used to operating in the new paradigms yet. And I think you're also stressed out because there are people around you who they kind of haven't caught up with how your paradigm has shifted and changed. And so they're not exactly understanding what's going on. And I think these people are stressing you out because they're winning answers. And they're winning answers to some things that you don't necessarily have the answers to just yet. Okay? Now, as all of that is going on, all of this wonderful transformation, stressful, wonderful transformation is going on. It looks like you're definitely setting some kind of foundation as far as with financially or material goods. And I think that you're doing this because you're setting yourself as a priority. Excuse me, I thought I had that on silent. Obviously, I did not. Okay, so this change is happening because you're setting yourself as a priority and you're setting a foundation for yourself. And to me, this has to do with material goods, that you're setting this foundation. Now, remember last time frame that we looked at, your foundation had sort of been turned upside down and your subconscious, you were looking at, okay, how can I change that? How can I bring that back? Well, now we see where you're taking action to actually get that foundation back the way you want it, and actually stronger than what we saw it before, to be honest with you. And then it does look like as you're setting this foundation, you may be taking a delayed paycheck, or you may be taking, what do they call that? Whenever you don't see, You're taking some good delayed gratification, knowing that if you put off and have delayed gratification, or you push that payday out a little bit, that actually makes the base of whatever this is that you're establishing much more solid. So you are dealing with some delayed gratification. I think that it's worth it to you as you strengthen your position financially or materially in the world. Yeah. Absolutely, because you're all about that foundation right now. You know the paydays will come later. You're not worried about that. Right now, you're just all about setting up that foundation. You could be setting up some kind of residual income that you know, there's a little bit of upfront cost, but later on, it pays off with those delayed gratification payments. Also going on as you're making these changes that are stressful for you, because your perspective has changed. There's something going on with a person that's in your sphere of influence. And this is somebody that, you guys really enjoy each other's company. You guys may really intellectually bounce off of each other and do really well. And I think this person is actually saying to you something like, I really care about you, or I really love you, but I can't sign on with what you're doing. Like, I just can't jump into this with you. I just don't, basically, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in your vision. I love you, I just don't believe in your vision, is basically what this person is saying. And this is a person that you really enjoy their company. Okay, this could be a really good friend, this could be a lover, this could be somebody that's in the family that you just really enjoy. But there's a lot of intellectual interaction that happens between the two of you. And I think that you guys find each other's conversations and thoughts actually very stimulating in general. So I think this is kind of disappointing to you whenever this person sees this change happening. And we kind of saw that earlier, that people would see this change and not quite be caught up with it. That's what this person is. They're not quite caught up with what's going on with this shift in your energy. And so they're having a hard time getting on board, even though it's important to them that they express to you that they care about you greatly, even if they can't be on board with you on this transformation or this change that you're making. Okay? And then the next thing that we're going to look at is what's happening towards the end of this week. We looked at that environment of going back to someplace old. Towards the end of this week, I do see you coming back to a place where you had felt like you were being depleted there. You weren't being replenished or rejuvenated at all. You were the one putting out all the energy or effort there. And I see you coming back to this place or this situation, whether it's a workplace, whether it's a relationship. And by coming back, I think this is really limiting some of your energy, some of the energy that you have to spend on other things. And energy is not just, energy to get up and go do something, but also, money is an expression of energy. Resources are an expression of energy. So when you're going back to this situation that left you depleted before, you're immediately feeling the drag that this is putting on you financially and probably also emotionally right away. And I think that you're even as you go back, you already have your boundaries up, because I think you're kind of anticipating that this is probably what's going to happen. Even with your boundaries up, you're still feeling that drag. It's like there's a drag on your engine, like you're just carrying this really heavy thing all of a sudden whenever you go back to it. And so even with the boundaries, this is still something that is not still is not replenishing you. I think that it's depleting you slower than it used to because of the boundaries, but I think it's still depleting you either way. Okay, so that's what we've got for that time frame. It'll be interesting to see what comes up during your next time frame, Capricorn. Let me go ahead and take a break and wrap this up, and then I'll come back. All right, Capricorns, here we are again. This time we're going to look at the time frame from July 26th through the 31st and see what comes up for you as major themes for that time frame. Like I said earlier, if you want to zoom through or I guess maybe scroll through is a better word. It's where we're actually talking about what's coming up. Feel free to do that. I do just shuffle and put down cards while I've got the camera running, because some people like to witness that. La da 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 da. La da da da. Okay, let's see what we have this time around. We're looking at environment first. Okay. So it looks like, Capricorn, you've got some changes going on in your environment. You are still... I think there's something going on where your environment, you are surrounding yourself with friends or with people who are able to be supportive of you. You're able to be supportive of them, you know, mutually beneficial relationships in your environment. It's interesting. I think there is something here that you and your friends, neither one really care for or like. And it looks like there's been something going on in your environment where you're bringing peace into that situation. So where there might have been stress or tension, you're bringing some kind of wholeness or peace into that situation with the environment. And I think your friends are helping you too. It may be that there was, you know, a room that you didn't like the color, and so you and your friends are actually like repainting that room or something along those lines. But definitely this is something where you're finding things, you're finding more things to be happy about, and you're doing that with friends. Friends are helping you to get more happy with your environment, basically. La da da da. Subconscious leanings, Capricorn, for the time frame from the 26th through the 31st. It looks like there's somebody who has given you some kind of message or some kind of information that they are hoping that you will take as a good thing. However, even with this message or information, it looks like there's a little bit of distrust there. I think you're not really expecting somebody to live up to the words that they're saying. You're thinking that, you know, the proof is in the pudding, and well, let's see how things really pan out here. It looks like somebody has said something to you about being able to exchange energy in an even type of way, and I don't think that you're seeing that as happening. So this could be and this is something that you're looking at subconsciously. This could be something like if you want to bring in a contractor to do some type of work, and they're telling you, you know, we can do this, this, and this, and it's only going to cost you this much. You know, you could be in that mind frame that says, yeah, that's what you're telling me right now, but by the time the job is done and you find that, that, and the other, then it's going to cost me like twice that, or whatever it is you're thinking. So it could be something like that. You know, that's just trying to give you an example of, you know, how this could be the rubber meeting the road. There's a lot of different ways that this could manifest, but I just want to kind of give you an idea, a thought pattern along this type of lines, or this pattern is what I'm expecting. You know, something where somebody is saying one thing, but you're feeling like, yeah, I think that's an over-optimistic thing to be saying as far as being able to have an even exchange of energy here. Okay, so that's what's on your subconscious mind. You're not totally trusting a message that somebody has given you. Next thing that I want to look at, I think I'm going to go a little bit out of the normal order this time. I want to look at that part of you that's being grown or expanded as we go through this particular time frame. So it looks like there's something that is going on in your life during this time frame where somebody makes a decision about you or about your behavior that is not a fair decision. It does not work out in a good way for you, and it's not made in a fair way. There is some kind of act of betrayal that happens when we see this, and there's definitely heartache over this judgment or this decision that somebody makes. And I think that I think that this is a hard situation for you to deal with, but I also think that you're going to be moving on from it pretty quickly. I don't think you're going to be wallowing in any kind of pity party about this. I also don't think that you're going to be fighting this or debating this. I think you're going to look at this situation as it comes down. I think you're going to process your feelings, which are heartache or heartbreak about this situation. And then I think you're going to move forward. I think you're going to realize, you know what, the person has already made this decision. There's no point in me wasting any energy or effort trying to change that. It's time for me to look for something that's going to work out better for me. Okay, so that's where I see you growing in the personality or expanding there, is in that whole idea of, okay, well, I'm going to accept this and I'm going to move on now. All right, now the next thing that I have coming up, I want to look at, talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style during the time frame of the 26th to the 31st. It does look to me like you are looking for very particular information, and I think really you're trying to find out a lot about somebody's reputation that is showing up in your life. You want to know what other people think of them. You also want to know what have they accomplished in their life already so far. And I think that you are getting some information around that, partial information, but you are getting some information around that, enough information to give you an idea a little bit about what this person is actually really like, even behind closed doors. Now, as far as communication style, I think that your communication is very well grounded, and I think that it's easy for people who are talking to you to tell what direction you're leaning, what direction you're headed with your thoughts and with your actions, because you're communicating that very clearly, very clearly. And I think that you are doing some type of affirmation work too. It is part of the communication. So you're communicating some very positive things to the universe as well, and engaging the universe in helping you to bring about some things that you actually want in your experience. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about work. We're going to look at outer work first and then inner work. This is really interesting. So, for work, you may actually be doing something new that makes you feel inspired and happy. You may be getting a pay raise whenever you're doing this. But at the same time, I feel like this is, whatever this is that you're doing, like you still feel like I could do so much more. There's so much more that I have to offer. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that you're not grateful about the new responsibilities that you have. I think that you're very happy to have those. You're very happy to have that extra pay. But I think that once you get into that position and you're active in it, I think that you start to realize, oh my gosh, like I could do 4 people's job in this department. And I think that you're feeling a little bit bored and like you're kind of having to fake that you're working for a lot of the time that you're there. Getting paid to be there. Okay. Let's look at inner work. I think that there are some areas that you're dissatisfied with as far as your skill level and what you know, your knowledge, that you want to grow and expand. And I think that you are growing and expanding in knowledge or expertise. This may even be in spiritual things, but it doesn't have to. You may want to take a course on, how do I manipulate Excel spreadsheets? I don't know. But I think there's something new that you're learning because you feel like you could do more if you knew more. And so the inner work is really getting engaged and getting out there and learning more so that you're able to do more. You've got more efficient ability to live up to your potential. And that's the inner work that you have going on, is really getting yourself in that position to live up to your potential. La da da da. Next, we're going to look at those things that you stand for. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of different things that you could do. You know what? Let me just back up a minute. There's some kind of situation where you have a lot of competition going on, and I think you're feeling that competition. However, I think that you're realizing that that competition has made you veer away from your true integrity with yourself and with how you want to handle things and what you want to do. And so I think you're pulling yourself up short sometime between July 26th and 31st. And you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to do things that competition, the idea that there's competition motivates me to do. I am going to do things in the way that integrity with myself calls for. Now, when I talk about integrity with myself, what I'm saying, Capricorns, is that you're going to be true to yourself. You're going to be true to your vision, to your dreams, to what you think is the right thing to do. You're not going to do something just because somebody says, oh, well, the competition over here is able to do that, and they do it like this. Well, that's great. If you like the competition so much, hire them. Go be with them. I'm going to do it in the way that seems best to me. And somebody is going to appreciate that. It doesn't have to be you, but somebody will. That's basically what we've got going on here. And it comes up, in the way that it comes up is that you have this wake-up call of, I have sacrificed my integrity. I have basically sold out because of what other people are telling me about this competition, or because of what the competition is doing. I have some very valid things to offer to the world in different ways than what the competition is doing, that I have not been offering because I was so focused on them instead of focused on me and what I have to offer the world, what I have to serve them, what I have to put out there. So there's some kind of wake-up call that comes along that makes you realize that, and you do an about-face really quickly. No more doing something just because you have competition. Now you're doing things because you believe in them. We like that. We like that, Capricorn. Serious business. Alrighty. What are we looking at next? This is how other people perceive you. This is basically going to be somebody that says, hey, how come you're not doing this? The competition's doing that. How come you're not? This is how that person sees you. They see you as somebody who's bored with doing things the way that the competition is doing it, and that you see other opportunities. You see other things that you can do that are much more interesting and exciting, and so you're pursuing that. They also see you as somebody who is sort of keeping things secret, keeping things under wraps, that you're not making a big deal of the idea that you're doing things differently. You're just quietly, steadily changing things so that they come into integrity again. And they're seeing where you were kind of sucked into performing to somebody else's standards, to somebody else's expectations before, and they're seeing where you've shut that down. Because you realize you like your own standards, you like your own expectations better. Those are actually going in the direction that you chose to go when you first started this project, this company, this activity, whatever it is that we're looking at here, that you've been feeling the pinch from the competition on. Even if it's a relationship. All right, next we're going to look at pivotal point during this particular time frame. Okay. What is our pivotal point where things start to change for this 6-day time frame? You are looking at long-term goals. And as you're looking at these long-term goals right now, Capricorn, I think you're feeling like you don't have a choice in the long-term goals that you're choosing. You're feeling like your choices are restricted or limited as far as your long-term goals right now, because you don't feel like you're in a strong position. So are you making long-term goals? Are you making long-term plans? Yes. Are you shooting for the stars? No. Are you trying to keep them realistic? Yes. Are you trying to keep them doable? Yes. I don't think that you're really happy with the long-term goals or the long-term plans that you're making now. I think that you're doing what you can do by default instead of brainstorming on how you can do what you really want to do. Okay? Now, the beautiful thing about having a reading like this ahead of time is that you can see this energy coming in and you can use your free will to change the outcome if you choose to. All right. What's going on while you're working on these long-term goals that you're feeling a little restricted on? There's a lot of communication going on between you and another person, probably a feminine energy. If it's a masculine energy, if it's, well, let's not say that. It is a feminine energy. If it's a male gendered person, then this is going to be somebody who has a less assertive personality, more a nurturing personality. And so you've got this feminine energy that you've got a lot of communication going back and forth with, and you're realizing through this communication that what this person brings to the table is not exactly what you want. It's pretty close to what you want, but it's not exactly what you want. And this may be a part of why you're feeling restricted or limited in the long-term goals, because you don't have everything that you exactly need to move forward in the way that you want to. Yep, look at that. It looks to me like in making these long-term goals, you're feeling like to meet any long-term goal that you want to make, you basically have to take out of your life time for family, time for relationships. And this is something that really is a perspective that is stuck in here. It's like it's faulty thinking that has you restricted here. Isn't that interesting? So it's just your perspective. It's not actually the reality of the situation. That's what these cards are telling me. And your perspective says, you know, for me to reach the long-term goals that I really want to reach for, I would have to be away from home a lot. I would have to be away from family a lot. And I would have to put love on a shelf. So the key here is that that's not really true. That's just only true because you believe it to be true. If you can change your perspective on that, then you could actually have a well-balanced life where you have time for relationships, you have time for family, and you have time to meet the goals that you want to meet. But you have to be able to change your perspective, how you see this and how you think about this, so that you can actually create that and make it happen and bring it into being. If you stick with the paradigm you've got now, you're not going to be able to reach the goals that you want to reach and still have the relationships, the nice strong relationships that you would like to have. So there's some growth there that needs to happen. There's some change that needs to happen so that you can reach the goals that you really do want. Now, looking at the end of the week. I think we might be putting growth on the back burner, guys. Looks here, Capricorn, like you guys are just taking a break. There's something that has been stressing you out and you've just decided, you know what, I'm just not thinking about it anymore. Kind of like Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind. There's that one line where she says, well, I'll think about it tomorrow. And then we go into intermission for that movie. This is what that makes me think of. There's something that you're stressing out over. I don't think that the cause for stress has disappeared. I don't think you have done anything with the situation. I think, to me, it comes across that you're just saying, you know what, I'm too tired to deal with this right now. I can't deal with it. And it's about a change that you want to make in your life. And you're not manifesting what you want to manifest. This is all about where we saw that pivotal point, and where, you know, it's your perspective that's keeping you from moving forward in the way that you want to move forward. It's making you set modest goals instead of the goals that you really want to set. And these cards are basically saying everything where I said, you know, there's some growth that has to happen here. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're staying stuck right where you are, still not manifesting the things that you want to manifest, because you don't want to put in the energy or the effort to make those changes. You would rather just not even look at the situation. So you've got the heads up about that, Capricorns. You can change that if you want to. Okay? But that's where we see the month ending for you. So thank you all so much for spending some of your precious time with me. I know these videos are much longer than the weeklies were, but I hope that you get a lot more information out of them, and that they're more helpful for you as you make decisions moving forward in your life productively. Thank you to all of you who are putting thumbs ups on this video, and for sharing this video with other people who may be able to benefit from it as well. Thank you to those subscribers who just keep coming back and keep coming back in spite of all this stuff that I do that's different on my channel and how I change it up regularly and all of that. It's wonderful to have regulars that just keep on following me. Thank you for that. You're very special to me. And then thank you to the new subscribers who just want to see videos like this again. I appreciate that too. And of course, last but not least at all, thank you so much to all of you who are still ordering private readings from me, and to those new people ordering private readings from me. Check out my website, see what all I have available. See what I can do to serve you. I appreciate you all. It is because of all of your support that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. Everybody have a fantastic month. I hope to see some of you here for private readings between now and the next video. And then the rest of you, I will see you on the next video. Peace out. And we'll take a peek at that.